Well, motorsport fans are in for a treat this weekend when the 9 Hour of Kyalami endurance race happens, with 2 days of racing in store for racing fans. The 9 Hour main race will start at noon on Saturday, preceded by shorter supporting races on Friday and on Saturday. To talk to us about this, we have a racing driver in Stuart White and a man who wears many hats, and that is Xolile Letlaka, who is also a driver and is part of the team that have made this race possible. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Live this morning.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Stuart, let me start with you as the man behind the wheel. How important is the Kyalami 9 Hour when you look at the overall racing calendar for 2023?
Well, I think in South Africa, it's definitely probably the most important race, especially for us as a team. Myself and Xolile are racing together the whole season in the South African Endurance Championship, and currently we're leading the championship by 7 points. So obviously it's a very important race for us. It's a must win. It's a race with the most pressure of the season. It's from January, this is the race we speak about, a race we want to win, not just to secure the championship for the team, and everyone has been working really hard behind the scenes. But it's just, it's the biggest race. It's the biggest endurance race. It has the most history. So for a driver point of view, not myself or Xolile has won the race. So it's a lot at stake this weekend. We can win the race for the first time, win the first South African championship for the team, for Xolile, and hopefully my fifth. So there's a lot riding on this weekend.
There really is a lot at stake, and we are, of course, rooting behind you and hoping for a victory for you guys. And Xolile, I'll get into the details just around that 7-point margin lead that you have at the moment. But first, let's talk to the popularity of the Kyalami 9 Hour and how much it's grown over the years.
Thank you so much. One thing that we have to clear, this is the South African endurance 9 Hour.
Yes.
The one that we've always been accustomed to is the international 9 Hour that is hosted by the SRO, that has one round of its championship happening in our shores. This one is different. This is our heritage. This is our South African 9 Hour series. So it's very important to us. Stuart mentioned that the racing team, it's something that we would really pride ourselves with by winning this championship. We're a young team. We are just under 2 years, and for us to create such a beautiful history, and it's for the first time that this 9 Hour has national colors. And for us to win this, and for me to have a possibility of being the first man of color to win a South African endurance series, it would be a blessing.
And we'll get into that a little bit more, just in terms of accessibility of the sport for a general young man of color in South Africa. But Stuart, let's speak to the dynamics that will be going into this weekend, because you mentioned that 7-point margin lead that you currently have at the moment. When you look at the Kyalami track, what are some of those tricky elements that you have to take into account as a racer? And what would you say would be your biggest challenge going into the weekend?
Well, in my opinion, I love it when we go to Kyalami with all the international experience that I have, thanks to this man to my right-hand side, Xolile, and so many other people, from Sean Penrich and many other people that has been there along the journey. Kyalami is the closest circuit that I get to what I race most of the time during the season in Europe. So I love going to Kyalami. Xolile loves going to Kyalami with his bit of an international experience that he's got lately. So it's definitely the most challenging, but that's also the most rewarding circuit. If you get a perfect lap around Kyalami, there's just no better feeling in the world. So really looking forward to this weekend. I think it's always going to be tough, especially with the weather we've been having lately, with late afternoon thunderstorms and racing into the night. Kyalami has no lights around it. It's pitch dark, so it can be quite difficult, especially if we encounter some rain late in the race. But at the end of the day, I always say it's the same for everyone, and it's just who's going to manage it the best. So we just have to take every opportunity that comes our way and use the strategy to our advantage. That's all we can do, put the ball in our court.
Talking about who's going to be managing it best going into the weekend, let's speak to the field that is expected out in Kyalami this weekend. And as you touch on that, perhaps, and looking at the lead you've got at the moment, Xolile, would you say this is your race to lose or win? Wow.
No, ma'am. We've got almost 50 entries for this race. This is an endurance race. It's a long race. It's 9 hours. Anything can happen within the 9 hours. we have a fair chance. We have a strong GT car. Like Stuart has said, I mean, the team, the Inter-Africa team that I'm part of has a bit of experience because we've raced a little bit international. The circuit is rewarding, but it is not. It's not a given that we will win. We've got a very strong team in Stradale competing with us, and there's international drivers there too. Kwanda Mukwena is part of that team. So yeah, it's going to go to the wire here.
I want to speak about what you think is different this year versus other years.
What is different is, for the first time in a long, probably 20 years, this is the first time that the South African Endurance Series goes to Kyalami. This is a big victory for the series. We've always raced this series in smaller tracks, Cape Town, PE, East London, and Red Star. And for us as a series to go back to the most prestigious place in South Africa, which is Kyalami, this is a victory on its own, you know. So yeah, we are very happy to be part of this.
And we're happy too as a South African nation, and we're also proud of the strides that have been made in making motorsport what it is in South Africa now, because so many times you just watch your Lewis Hamiltons, your Max Verstappens, and now we get to say, we know it, Xolile, who's here in South Africa, we know it's Stuart. Stuart, let's perhaps speak to what leading up to race weekend looks like for you from a driver point of view in terms of preparations and making sure that you're in the right space mentally, physically, emotionally to take on, as Xolile has mentioned, what is a long endurance race.
Yeah, it's definitely a long endurance race. My role in the team also looks a little bit different than just a normal racing driver. Gerald Ekron, our team manager, is also here today, and between myself and him, we basically run the team, organize everything. So racing in South Africa is a little bit of a different dynamic for me, so there's a lot more preparation that goes into it, not just from the team side, but mentally and physically. I mean, myself, Xolile, and Gerald also had a bit of a deal between each other to lose a certain amount of weight between the race to make sure we're all in good shape.
And?
So, well, we all made it. We actually did better than expected. I think between the three of us, we lost over 30 kilograms. So it's all these small things that really helps mentally to prepare and just to make the team feel good, and to also show everyone in the team that it's not just another weekend at the racetrack. There's really a lot of preparation and passion that goes into it. So I think it's going to be a tough race. 9 hours, a lot can happen, especially if the heat. But bringing some experience from previous 24-hour races that I've done in Europe, definitely think it will suit the team well. Mikael Petamba, that's racing with us, has also done a few 24-hour races. Xolile has done the international 9 hours. So we all sort of know what to expect, but you can never be completely ready. It's always about adapting a little bit on the race weekend. But I think from our side, from a team's point of view, we've done everything we could to prepare best as possible for the weekend. We have the support from Lamborghini, from their engineers and mechanics, and it's also nice to have that support from a European manufacturer. It really makes everything rewarding that we've been working for the whole season. So I think we've done everything we could. Now it's just that we have to go to Kyalami, give it our best.
Get the job done. Give it your best. Xolile, I'm wrapping up with you now. Just quickly, I've got less than a minute left. Speak to me about the accessibility of the sport for the general South African. And finally, in terms of the race this weekend, are tickets still available? Where can people get them?
Tickets are still available. Please log in onto the South African Endurance website. There's ticket links there where you can buy the tickets. Accessibility of the sport, we stand for that. It's something that we're trying to preach every day, but we cannot do it without the general public. We need to bring this format of the sport to the general public. So we need your support. We need to see everyone in Kyalami, especially people of color that have really not been participating in this. So we need your support to change the face of motorsport.
And our support, indeed, you will get starting with this interview right here on Money Live. Stuart, all the best for the weekend. Good luck to you. Thank you so much, Xolile. All the best to you too.
Thank you, ma'am.
Joined by Xolile Letlaka, speaking about the 9 hour taking place this weekend, all about South Africa this time around. They do have a 7-point lead right at the top. Alongside him was Stuart White. You can, of course, still go ahead and purchase your tickets.